Welcome everyone to the May Open edX Community Hangout. We do these events once a month, and we are always interested to hear what you are doing in the community. Past ones are available on our YouTube channel. I'm going to share a couple of slides, and then we can get started with our main presentation. As I said, Open edX Online Community Meetup, May 14th. I am Ned Batchelder. I work at edX on the Open edX team. We do these meetups, excuse me, why won't my slides move? There we go. The Open edX community can be reached in a number of ways. We have a code of conduct that, we have a code of conduct that we use for all of our interactions, whether online or face-to-face. We have a discourse forum for textual discussion, not in real time, and we have a Slack workspace if you want to have a quick discussion with someone about a particular topic. All of these URLs I'm going to put into the YouTube channel, and these slides will be available there as well. I am doing it all wrong. Social media, we have a blog, we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, and we're on LinkedIn. And I encourage you to join us on any of those that is a native place for you to be for social media. We are looking for presenters for our online meetups. Anna, who is going to be presenting to us, filled out this form on Google Forms. And I said, wow, that's a great topic. I really want to hear about it. And we worked it out, and she's here to talk to us today. One thing before we get to the presentation about Campus IL, we have an upcoming release of the Open edX software, which is called Juniper. The releases are named alphabetically after trees. We are on our 10th release, Juniper. It's coming any week now. We might actually be done with it next week, late next week. The community is currently testing it and fixing last issues. You can help with that effort. There is a category in discourse. This URL will be in the slides, as I said. You can go there, see what people are talking about how Juniper is shaping up and how you can help. The releases are really for the community. We'd like to make them by the community. And so your feedback about what's working well and what isn't working well is really, really valuable to us as we produce the release and makes the release much better. So it's really great if you can participate and help us produce that release. Any questions about anything I've said? You can either unmute or type in the chat window. We'll have time at the end for open-ended discussion too. But now I'd like to hand it over to Anna and her colleagues to talk about how Campus IL is doing in these difficult times.
Thank you very much, Ned.
Sure. I'll stop sharing and you can share your screen.
Sure. Sure. Okay, Ned, thank you very much. Thanks again for the opportunity to present you like how Campus IL is doing during COVID-19. I'm in Israel, where it feels like we're kind of behind like the top of it. So I know it's not everywhere like that, but we're now summarizing that period. And I wanted to share with you our understanding and what helped us to, I think, even grow during that crisis and that pandemic. And I thought that it would be very interesting to share it with all the community. So first thing, I would like to thank the great tech team that we have here. All of them are here on this meetup. Roy from Midlink, Tim Kromes from OpenCraft, Hodaya, who is our technical leader within Campus IL. I really want to thank all of you. You were part of that. Like it was a very stressful period of time for us. And what you'll see here is part of this teamwork. Okay, so for those of you that are not familiar with Campus IL, we are the Israeli National Digital Learning Platform, and we're of course powered by Open edX. So our mission statement is to promote general, professional, and academic education while addressing social equality and accelerated economic growth. So we are a national platform, and we're open for everyone in Israel. Our courses are offered for everyone for free. And that was a very valuable thing during the pandemic and during the last 2 months. So let me take you, like, I think these slides take us 2 months ago, and it was taken at the end of February. This is how the map of infections looked like back then. And not too bad, I must say. And so 2 months ago, actually, for us, at least in Israel, it started, we started to realize that our lives are going to change. But mainly what will change is the consumption of the digital services. And most of them were, of course, powered or they need consumed by citizens of Israel. And the government had a key role in access to those digital services. And since Campus IL is the national digital learning platform, so as other digital services in the government, we also had a lot of changes that started. And we realized that a lot of people are going to be staying at home and probably learning. And the first thing that we did is what you can see here. Learning and the quarantine, we just decided to offer all of our courses to everyone that wants to learn. Again, it's for free. And this is the numbers. This is how the consumption of our services looked like during these 2 months. So what you can see here is the traffic. This is February. And this is how our traffic changed and grew during March and April. This is actually the daily traffic. What you can see here are new enrollments. So this is how our new enrollments were in the beginning of February. And this is how the new enrollments that we had in the middle of March. By the way, the enrollments dashboard, it's something new that was developed during these 2 months, and we'll discuss it later. But you can see the growth here. And again, almost all the digital services in the public sector were growing, and of course the digital learning as well. So what are the success factors that helped us to grow during that time? And I wanted to focus on the technology part. Like, there were a lot of success factors from our partners and from the pedagogical parts. But here we'll discuss the success factors related to technology. So first thing would be the agility of learner partners facing interfaces. And that's actually related to a session that I originally wanted to present in the Open edX conference about our new marketing site, which we developed and interfaced to Open edX. It helped us a lot during this 2 months, and I'll give some examples. The second thing would be the stability and the scalability of our infrastructure. We were able to scale, we were able to work with all the growth that we experienced. In addition, we also were going on ongoing strategic topics, and Roy will elaborate on that. Together, we're exploring new opportunities. Actually, we had a couple of new products that were launched during March, and we'll discuss them. And again, what we have is the era of data. All of our decisions were made used by data, and we enabled new data to be consumed. We had some new products related to data, and I'll show it to you later. Okay, so I'll start with the agility. So I think like within a week, we created a totally new look for our homepage. And it was very much enabled by our WordPress marketing site. So what we mainly did is took all the discovery part of our site and created a new WordPress around it. So the homepage and also the course discovery step is now done on our WordPress platform. And only after the user is logged into the LMS and starts the learning process, we're switching to Open edX. So this part enabled us to be really, really flexible, which was very important during the coronavirus. So what you can see here is a new look for our homepage. By the way, you are more than welcome to see. We have it also in English. We have it in 3 languages. So the homepage looks different. Another thing, we added a lot of new content, which is related to the COVID-19 pandemic. There was around 30 new courses that were developed during that time. Most of them were developed by the ministries in government. So you can see a couple of interesting courses here. This is, for example, Arabic for doctors, which was very useful during the pandemic. We have here a course about how parents should tackle fears for their children. It was also developed by the Ministry of Health. You see here an SEO course, Facebook for businesses. So a lot of courses related to working from home, for instance, working from home for public sector were developed and added to our platform. Okay, some more new courses that you can see here. Adding new content. Another important thing that enabled us to be very agile is that we enabled, I think it's the first time that we did that, we enabled our learners to link to an external LMSs. So for instance, you can see here, there are a couple of courses that are pointing to Microsoft courses and to Google courses and to Amazon courses. So we enabled learners to discover those courses on our platform. And these developments were done like within days. So the ability to be very agile was very important for us. Another example would be adding new landing pages that were also introduced and added to the homepage. One of the first landing pages that we introduced is Learning in the Quarantine, where we had like a bunch of courses that could be very relevant for people that are in quarantine. And we put it right on the homepage. And again, since it was only changes of content, it could be done in a matter of days. So again, agility in everything that is related to our learners or our partners. We created landing pages to partners as well as for learners. We adjusted our homepage. We enriched our catalog with new developed courses. We developed a feature of external courses to our platform. We added new landing pages for partners and for our learners. Okay, so this is about the agility and our new marketing page. You're again more than welcome to go to campus.gov.il/en, which will show you the site in English. And now about the stability team, I would like you to continue with that.
Yes, thank you, Anna, for the nice introduction earlier, and also for the opportunity to talk about this today. First of all, I want to say we were really glad to see that the increases in traffic didn't cause very many problems for us, despite the fact that they were pretty big. We didn't really see numbers in the graphics earlier, but I think the increase in enrollments was something like 700% or something. So it was pretty crazy. But yeah, so there are a few specific aspects that really helped us deal with the increases in traffic that we were seeing as a result of the Corona crisis. The first one being that the different services that make up Open edX, such as LMS and Studio, Insights, Workers, and the forums, are actually running on separate clusters of auto-scaling groups in campus's infrastructure. And so what that means is that if load increases for a specific service, this won't typically affect other services. So that helps a lot with the overall stability of the system. And then building on that, the auto-scaling groups that are running the individual services are configured to automatically scale in and out based on load. So the way that it works in Campus's case behind the scenes is that we have CloudWatch collecting metrics that are relevant to performance and trigger appropriate scaling actions. So for example, if for a specific auto-scaling group, CPU usage is really high for a specific period of time, what CloudWatch will do is it will trigger an action that will add more resources, so more EC2 instances to the auto-scaling group to reduce the load on the individual instances. And then another aspect that was important for us is that these individual clusters actually allow us to also do some vertical scaling. So if the processing power of individual EC2 instances is not enough to handle the requests for a specific service, what we can do is we can easily spin up a new auto-scaling group in the same cluster and just specify that it should be using a more powerful EC2 instance type. And then basically what we do is we wait until that new auto-scaling group is up, and only then do we terminate the previous auto-scaling group. So the user never never realizes that this is happening behind the scenes. And then lastly, and perhaps obviously, another thing that really helped us is the fact that we really have at all levels of the deployments, we have extensive monitoring for the different parts of the infrastructure. So we were using that pretty extensively to monitor for bottlenecks as the traffic was increasing. And specifically, I already mentioned that we're using CloudWatch. This is mostly for resource monitoring. And then New Relic also plays a big role for us for application level monitoring and error analytics. So the combinations of these specific aspects helped us deal with the increasing traffic really quickly and without really any impact on the end users. So that's it from my side. Back over to Anna.
Sorry. Thank you, Tim. Okay, so we'll go on with our success factors. Next one would be the strategic roadmap, and Rui, that's over you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Anna, and thank you, Tim. And so I want to start just to really thank you for all your compliments. It's nice. And I think that the other interesting thing is really to see how online learning is changing, is affecting so many people in this kind of time, in period of times. And I think that it's a great trend. And again, I really hope that it's going to continue. And I think that from the online learning perspective, it's not going to look the same again. So it was a great, from that perspective, the COVID-19 was really good, at least for us. So maybe I'll just say a few words. So so my name is Rui. I'm the CTO of Midlink. Midlink is a cloud provider and solution architect, and we are focusing mainly on public sector and learning solutions. And I think that one of the things that I want to show you now is how this kind of worldwide trends or like issues are affecting something that we've planned for a long time, and how we had to change everything to accumulate that. So in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you a little bit the strategic roadmap that we've built. And it started like 6 months ago. And the most important part for us, especially for campus, for us is like for campus, is to be engaged more with our customers and our users. So when we've started, we wanted to meet them better, to answer better their needs. And this is why Anna actually initiated kind of a strategic roadmap for the product. No, take me back. Yeah, sorry. And for that, we wanted to go, yeah. And for that, we wanted actually, so we've planned to have, we split it into like 4 parts. The first, it was to meet the actual customers. And we've met with the users from all around Israel. We've met like with the content developers. And what we've done is extracted requirements to improve the platform. So we have around like 60 new requirements. And then based on these requirements, we've built the technical, the business and technical analysis. So for each requirement, we understand how it fits to the general picture. And then, and that was also very important, and that's also what I wanted to share with you, we've shared it with the community, with Open edX leaders. And they've also put their inputs there, like Nimisha and Marco and all these guys. And based on all these inputs, the users, the customers, the community, we've prioritized it with the SUSIT leaders from campus. And then based on that, we've built the annual roadmap. So that was the plan, and I will show you soon how it's ruined, or not ruined, that's how it was affected by the corona, and now Anna. But let me show you some of the products that we've created. So first of all, we've done the interview with the users. So we interviewed many organizations and many individuals, and then we created personas. All these small icons is like each one of them is a persona, a different type of user. And then we've gathered all the requirements into big circles to understand and split it into categories to understand better what they need. And then we had like a map of requirements. And then, and then we took all the requirements and we mapped them to the edX roadmap. So edX published their roadmap, and now when we've correlated or when we related our own requirements to edX requirements, now we could talk more intelligently, like with the edX community, because we've created the same terminology. So the next thing was to take all the requirements from our users and see how it fits to edX roadmap. And then based on this input, all right, and based on this input, we've added some other insights. So for each requirement, we said how difficult it is to analyze it or to provide a technical analysis for it. How difficult it is, how can we share that with the community? Or maybe the community already doing something similar. Or maybe instead of us developing that, maybe we can share it with other developers in the wide community. The third part was, the third input was how difficult is that to develop that? Like how complicated this feature is. And then how much time we assume it's going to take. So for each requirement, we've built this kind of metrics. And then each one of the C-suite level in campus give his prioritize. All right, and then we summarized everything. And what you see here, 1 is good, like 1 is high priority and 5 is low priority. And what you see here is a very interesting heat map where we can see what is the most interesting and what is the most prioritized requirements. It's in Hebrew, so you won't understand. But what is the most, but we can share that later with you, of course. But what is the most prioritized requirements? And based of that, we hope to use the resources we have to provide the most value for our users. So that was the plan. And then we had the COVID-19, right? So we had to adjust the plan very quickly because in a nutshell, like in no time, we had to provide solutions for all these users and all these partners. And then we started to understand what they like. And we've noticed that their main challenge was proctored exams, because we have high schools, we have universities, we have like government offices, and they cannot do pen and papers exam, and then like it's all the country. And then we thought how we can help. So we've started to analyze the proctored exam scenario. And what I want to, the thing that I wanted to show you here is how we are taking one feature, and again, in a very collaborative way, we are starting to develop it and go to a pilot. And all that process was done in like a month, which is very quickly for government, right? So when we are talking about proctored exam, we are actually split it, one second, Anna. We are splitting it into 3 parts. The first is the exam development itself. Because it's an high-stake exam, we cannot have the exam online, right? So it needs to be very secured while you are developing the exam. So it needs to be secured in a place where it's not accessible for the internet. The second part, or the second phase, is the exam delivery itself. So when I'm sitting in my home, I want to have to do or to take the exam in a secure environment. And the third is that after I finish my exam, I want the content assessment, or like the course team, to assess the exam and to grade it. And that's again shouldn't be done on the internet. Like it needs to be done like in a separate place. So what we've done, it's always create tension, So what we've done is actually split the solution into 2 parts. The first part is the public internet. And in the public internet, we have Open edX. This is the icon of Open edX, like Campus IL, it's an Open edX, right? So we have the public Open edX, where students are learning there. But what we've done, we are going to install another server, Open edX small server, for the content developers and the assessment team, or actually for now, just the content developers. The content developers are going to develop their exam inside their LAN, inside their private network. So the exam will be secured during all the development phase. And it's very complicated because, again, it's high-stake exam, so you need lots of reviews and to check that the exam is really checking, really checks what it needs to check. And so it's a complicated process. But when the exam starts, what we are doing is to create an LTI connection between the public network and the private network inside the institute. All right, and that ID actually was developed by Nimisha. So you see, we thought about very bad ideas, and then we've talked with Nimisha, and she gave us this brilliant one. And so 15 minutes before the exam starts, we are creating this LTI link, and then the students can take the exam. The exam is still based in the secured servers. Okay, but only for the period of the exam, the servers are open for the internet. So the students are taking the exams, and then when the exam is finished, what we're doing is closing the LTI down. And now the exam is again secure. The exam and the answers are again secured inside the institute server. So from business perspective, I want to share here that we had a challenge. We thought and we explored many different solutions and many different architectures. We shared that with the community. The community brought us a great idea. And also, I didn't mention here, but we also explore many different technology solutions for the delivery phase. So we searched, we looked for Proctored exam and Proctor.io and Proctor track and lots of different solutions. And again, when we evaluated them, one of the evaluation metrics was how popular they are in the community. And I think that this is why open source community is so important also for the development of like any solution. And here you don't see like, it's not like a development. We are not writing code. It's just like integration. But the open source community played a vital role there. So I think that if I need to focus on two things here, first is that when you are building your roadmap, you want to consult with the community and think how the community can help you. And the roadmap, even if it's very strategic and very methodology way, there are always surprises and you need to act fast. And I think that with this proctored exam scenario, we have a use case where we acted fast. And like, I really hope that like in 3 or 4 weeks from now, we are going to have a running pilot with real students taking high-stake exams from home. So yes, so that's the third thing or second. So thank you, Aina.
Okay, Roy, thank you very much. So Roy summarized pretty much what we've done with the roadmap and the Proctor exam. About exploring new opportunity, I just want to mention another opportunity. We called it the campus school. So we've noticed that like we have different populations that are learning within the National Digital Platform, and there are some populations which need to have a community around the learning process. Like one of the understanding was that in order to have more retention, what we would like to see is a community which is learning the course together. So during the coronavirus period of time, we ran a new pilot of, it started with 7 digital communities, which started learning together on Campus IL courses. And they had a community leader that was having also synchronous meetings during the learning process, and actually it was very successful pilot. Like we had 7 different courses, and on each course the data was a little bit different, but it is a good example of the blended learning process which we are exploring. We started exploring during the last year, and this pilot was like a great step. It was a great learning for us about everything that is related to blended learning. So, for instance, one of the things that we've learned is around CCX, which is a component in OpenEdX. And actually, we can have a separate session only about how we use CCX in campus, but we had after our last upgrade, we had a great increase in usage of the C6 component. We have more than 10,000 learners that are now attending courses, enrolled to courses in C6, and it's only growing. So that's one thing that we've learned. And it's important for me to mention it in the community, because I think if there are any other partners of the community that are interested in development of C6, so just reach out to us and we'll think how to promote it together. I agree with Roy very much that the power of the community is very important here. So C6 is another thing that would be very interesting for us, and some other tools that are related to the collaboration between the learners is also something that we tried. Actually, in that specific pilot, our users used WhatsApp groups, but we very much want to explore other tools that have like better integration with OpenEdX, because we really want the whole process to be integrated together. And this pilot was very important for populations who have like low digital literacy. We enable them to learn our courses and to support each other. For instance, we had a community of senior citizens that were learning a course for digital literacy for senior citizens, and they had great inputs about the course, and also the completion rates were pretty high for that course. Okay, so I think we discussed the new opportunities and exploring of the new opportunities. We had like a lot of other products. I just wanted to focus on those two. And another very important product is like during the whole period of time, we were asked a lot of questions about the data. How much learners were enrolled to each course, what are the completion rates, how looks the funnel, a lot of data related questions. So it was a great opportunity for us to launch a new enrollment dashboard, which you can see here. And this enrollment dashboard is, first of all, great work of Hodaya, which is like she developed the backend between for this dashboard, and we interfaced it with Power BI. So the front end, as you see here, is Power BI, and this whole dashboard from the beginning until the end was developed in 1 week. So it's also related to agility. Yes, because we really wanted to see how are the enrollments on our platform, and it was interesting for our CEO, for CEOs in Digital Israel, and that's what we enabled. So what you can basically see here are like the total numbers enrolled to campus, and how many numbers were increased each day. Here you can see the number of enrollments on a daily basis. You can see the trend here, and this is the accumulative number of enrolled users. And what was also very interesting for us is like their level of education, which you can see here, the gender and the ages of the newly enrolled users. So this dashboard, like I think on a daily level, something like that, both all of the C-level management was looking at it. We had some marketing campaigns, and each time a marketing campaign was launched, we were checking the numbers against this dashboard. And again, the thing was the agility of it. So again, I want to thank everyone that took part of that, to Hodaya, to Ro'i, to team, and everyone also behind the scenes who is not here. But this is like I think the main items, the main success factors that helped us during this 2 months. Again, our team is the first success factor, but I also think that the other items that we discussed are very important. And we are now open for your questions.
Well, Anna, Roy, and Tim, thank you very much. You may have seen me be startlingly impressed by some of the things you mentioned there. You've certainly done an awful lot, especially under really tight timelines. I have some questions. If anyone has a question, feel free to unmute and ask your question, but I'm gonna start with a question. Roy, you mentioned that those high stakes tests are gonna be rolled out to students soon, but you had also said, I think before we started recording, that your office will be opening next week, but the schools in Israel are still closed? Some?
Anna, do you want to answer, or?
I'm too angry to answer that. So the thing is that the offices, like a lot of people, are working, but unfortunately the schools are working on partially. Like we have some solution, not for all ages. There are different solutions for each age.
Yep.
So the education system was not back.
And also I think that when we are talking about higher education, then we need, every university thinks about different solutions, how to keep distance, the right distance between the learners or between the learners that come to conduct or to do the exam. And not all the university has the tools or the money to, you know, hire like these huge places and like put to have like official or physical room and like building up. And I think that this is one of their options. And especially that's like for universities, for government ministries, it's like maybe even worse, right? Like if you want to do your driving license and theory, then of course it's not ready yet for managing that in a Corona time. So the need is there.
Right, and everyone is wondering how much we're going to go back to the way things were, you know, 6 months ago. Even once sort of we're back to normal, it's probably going to be some kind of new normal. So you might have an increased demand for those sorts of high stakes online exams anyway.
Yeah, and I think that also one of the reasons, like campus is part of the ministry. How do you say that, Anna?
Ministry of Social Equality.
Yeah, social equality, Ministry of Social Equality. So I think that this solution can help also down the line where we have suburbs, right, in Israel. And today what we are asking for people, if they want to do like a physical exam in one of the ministries, is to drive like 2 hours to the center of Israel and do the exam there. But if we can provide them an online tool like that, then I think that this kind of exam and certifications may be much more, they may be more valuable for everyone. And I think it's also like, it's also a value. It's not just like for the COVID-19 specific.
Yes, one of the things that we've seen at edX is that institutions who had been thinking, online is kind of interesting and we'll figure that out pretty soon, have been forced to figure it out pretty soon, really soon. And so a lot of institutions that a year ago would not have done online, a year from now will be doing online, even if we are completely past this whole crisis.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that this is why it's a step in the right direction anyway.
Yep, exactly. I believe in online education, absolutely. One of the things you mentioned was that you had all these new courses created on a really tight timeline. And I'm trying to understand how you can make that happen. We always hear that courses take a long time to produce, and the people that have to produce those courses necessarily weren't ready to make those courses. So how did you do that?
Wow, that's a great question. So first of all, since it was an unusual times, so we needed to think about unusual solutions. So since again, the digital learning got focus and it was like it was inevitable, like we needed those courses, so a lot of blockers were removed and helped us to make those courses pretty much quickly. Of course, there were some interesting things. For example, the crew that was filming had to have this social distance, so the videos look pretty much, they look different than the usual production. But the pedagogical part of those courses was on a very high level. So again, thanks to the blockers that were removed during this time, because everyone understood that digital learning could be a great solution, we managed to do this.
But I guess I'm wondering if there was a different approach than usual. I mean, you mentioned that the high stakes tests, because they're high stakes, had all these review process, but I'm assuming that the courses you're talking about didn't have layers and layers of governmental review. But usually courses, even so, you have to, what are the goals, what are the objectives, what's the outline going to look like? How can you pull something together so quickly?
Yes, so again, first of all, most of the courses were created by the government, and they're not academic courses. And so a lot of the content was already there during the planning of it. Like there were courses that were planned like a year ago, and suddenly, they just had to find a solution, so everything was expedited. And that's the reason I think that things were like it became a real solution for a real problem. For instance, for the public sector to be able to continue and work, you needed people to work from home, and you needed courses to explain how to work from home, how to be efficient. So solutions were just found.
Yep, where there's a need, there's a way.
Yes, exactly.
Just as a follow-up question, Anna, what was the exact number of courses related to COVID-19 that were created, and what was the timeline of delivery?
I'm not sure about the exact numbers, but I think it's between 20 and 30 courses, and we started the development at the end of February. And most of them will be available in the upcoming 2 weeks, something like that. Some of them are already available. And again, mostly it wasn't academic courses, but courses developed by the government offices.
Right. Right, and I have one last question, which for Rui, which is the roadmap that you've produced and the analysis of the roadmap. How widely have you shared that? And if people are interested to see it and influence it or make use of it themselves, how do they get involved?
So it's a great question, Ed, and thanks for that. Actually, we involved the Open edX guys, like company or organization themselves, like Nimisha and Marco.
Yep.
And just shared with them because it was really, it's now still like we've done that, but it was in the initial phases. And
right.
We wanted also the input from the C-suite level of campus because it's important to see where to focus on. Yep. And what we want to do next, and actually it's a great opportunity to talk about that as well, is to take the big stones that we took out from all these requirements, because just sharing 60 requirements that is like, it's a jungle, it's not prioritized, then it can create a mess. But now we have the right prioritization. And what we thought is to take really the big stones and then share it with the community and like with the wider community to hear their feedback and to see if we can build some collaboration and cooperation between us and the wider community to develop specific features and tools. And I think that the interesting part here, or the opportunity, is that campus is a government organization. So everything that we are developing is open source, and we are using open source, but we are also contributing the open source back to the community.
Yep.
So there is no IP or rights or like business difficulties from, because I've been there, right? I'm in the open community for many years, so I know all the entanglements there. But there is no here. Great. So I think that if we are looking for a pillar to build this kind of processes, it can be a good pillar.
Okay, I would love to see what could happen from more community discussion around the prioritizations and even the assessment of where we are on that roadmap. Different people have different perspectives based on the domain they're from or their experience with a different slice of the customer base. So it'd be really interesting to get all that feedback together.
So Ned, just tell us how to do that. But we are open to whatever you need.
There was a slide earlier with a link to Discourse. I don't know. Put it on Discourse.
You can take it offline. I'm just saying that.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. I loved seeing everything you've done. I am glad to see that Campus IL has risen to the challenge of this virus. And it looks like we're going to get some great technology out of it as a side benefit. So thank you very much, Anna, Roy, and Tim, for doing the presentation. We do these online meetups every month. We love to hear from you if you have something to say. I will put a link to the form in the YouTube description. Our next event is going to be Thursday, June 11th. We do these the second Thursday of every month at 1 p.m. Eastern US time, and we would love to have you. Join us next time. Thanks, everyone.
Yofi, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much, Ned. Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Welcome.
Eden, how?
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.